How many times this week did you look at your bank account and feel that knot in your stomach? How many times did you wake up and the first thought that came to your mind was worry, about bills, about money, about not having enough? Let me tell you something that will change everything you think you know about provision. That feeling, that constant anxiety, it's not the truth about your life. It's just a frequency, a wrong frequency. And I'm going to teach you how to change it. There's a practice, ancient, tested by generations, simple, accessible to anyone, and it has transformed the financial reality of thousands of people who are exactly where you are now. Not because it's magic, but because it's a spiritual law that most people don't know how to apply correctly. Before we go any further, if this channel is helping you understand the spiritual laws that govern your life, subscribe now and activate the notification bell. Don't miss the teachings that can transform your reality. Subscribe now. I'm going to be honest with you from the start. I'm not going to promise you instant miracles. I'm not going to tell you that tomorrow morning you'll wake up with money in your account. But I am going to give you something much more valuable than that. I'm going to give you a spiritual technology, a practice that our sages have been using for thousands of years, a method that changes your consciousness. And when your consciousness changes, your reality changes. You see, most people live their entire lives in a consciousness of lack. They wake up thinking about what they don't have. They go to sleep worrying about what might be missing tomorrow. And this becomes a cycle, a prison, a mental pattern that repeats itself day after day, year after year. And the worst part is this: they never question whether this is the only possible reality. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you stopped to recognize that you are alive, that you woke up this morning, that you have air in your lungs, that you have a roof over your head, food on your table, people who depend on you? When was the last time you said thank you for this? Not just said it, but really felt it, with intention, with presence, with awareness that all of this came from somewhere. Because here's what happens: when you don't recognize what you already have, you create a disconnection, a gap, a space between you and the source of everything. And in that space, lack lives. This is what I want you to understand today. This is the key that will unlock everything. The problem is not that you don't have. The problem is that you don't see what you already have. And when you don't see, you can't receive more. It's like having a radio tuned to the wrong station. The music is there. The frequency exists. But you can't hear it because you're not on the right channel. And there's a very specific spiritual practice that changes your frequency, that tunes your consciousness to abundance. That opens your eyes to the provision that has always been there, but you couldn't see. This practice is taught in the Torah. It's validated by our sages throughout the generations, and it's simpler than you think. But before I teach you what it is, I need you to understand something fundamental. There's a verse in Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 18. It says this: "But remember the Lord your God, for it is He who gives you the ability to produce wealth." Read this again. It doesn't say that God gives you wealth directly. It says He gives you the ability, the capacity, the power to generate. This is crucial, because most people are waiting for God to send money from heaven. They're waiting for a miracle that comes from outside. And while they wait, they do nothing. But this is not how spiritual law works. The law says this: God gives you the ability, but you need to activate it. You need to recognize it. You need to use it. And the way you activate this ability is through recognition, through gratitude, through intentional acknowledgement of the source. Our sages teach that when you recognize God as the source of everything, you become a channel, you become a vessel, you become capable of receiving what has always been available. But you were blocking. This is not positive thinking. This is not about pretending everything is fine when it's not. This is about changing the root, the foundation, the consciousness from which you operate. Because when your consciousness changes, your actions change. When your actions change, your decisions change. When your decisions change, your results change. This is spiritual mathematics. This is how the law works. Now, the practice I'm going to teach you is based on something our sages did every single day, something that marked their entire lives, something so powerful that it became mandatory, not optional, mandatory. They understood something that most people today have forgotten. They understood that recognition is not just saying thank you once a day. It's not a single prayer before bed. Recognition is a constant practice, an intentional discipline, a way of life that reprograms your entire system. And there's a very specific way to do this, a method, a formula that works. But here's what I need you to understand first. This practice is not about blessing things. It's not about blessing your food. It's not about blessing your car, your house, your money. This is the mistake most people make. They think they need to bless what they have, and they do it mechanically, without intention, without understanding. But our sages taught something completely different. They taught that you should not bless things. You should bless God for the things. Do you see the difference? When you bless a thing, you're giving power to the thing. You're saying that the thing is what gives you life, that the thing is what sustains you. But when you bless God for the thing, you're recognizing the source. You're saying that the thing is just a manifestation, that what truly sustains you is not the bread, but He who creates the bread, not the water, but He who brings forth the water, not the money, but He who gives you the ability to generate. This changes everything, because when you recognize the source, you connect to what is infinite. You connect to what never runs out. You connect to what sustains everything all the time. And this creates a frequency, a vibration, a state of consciousness that begins to attract opportunities, people, and circumstances that were always there but you couldn't see. Let me give you a practical example. When you drink a glass of water, what do? Most people just drink. They don't think about anything, they don't feel anything, they just consume. Some people remember to say a quick thank you, God, and they move on. But our sages taught something deeper. They taught that before you drink, you should stop, just for 10 seconds, 15 seconds, and recognize. Not just say it, recognize, feel, be present with the fact that this water exists, that it came to you, that your body is capable of receiving it, that God, at this exact moment, is sustaining the water, your body, your life. And then you say a blessing, not to the water, but to Him who creates the water, to Him who gives you the ability to drink, to Him who, right now, is keeping you alive. This is not religion. This is technology, spiritual technology, that changes your consciousness. And when you do this 10 times a day, 20 times a day with intention, something begins to shift inside you. You stop living in the frequency of lack. You stop waking up thinking about what's missing. You stop going to sleep worried about tomorrow, because you begin to see, really see, that provision is constant, that you are being sustained right now, that you have never been abandoned, that the source has always been there, providing, sustaining, creating. And when you see this, you become capable of receiving more, not because God didn't want to give before, but because you weren't capable of receiving. Your consciousness was blocking, your frequency was wrong, your focus was in the wrong place. Now, I want to tell you a story, a true story, about someone who discovered this practice and it transformed everything. His name was David, a young man, 32 years old. He lived in Jerusalem, worked as a security guard at a shopping mall, earned minimum wage, had a wife and 2 small children. They lived in a small apartment rented on the outskirts of the city. Every month was a struggle. The salary barely covered the basics. There was no money left over, no savings, no security, just the constant weight of worry. David grew up in a traditional family. He knew the prayers, he knew the blessings, but he did everything mechanically, quickly, without thinking. It was just a religious routine, something his father had taught him to do. And he did because that's what you're supposed to do. One day he was working his shift at the mall. It was a quiet night, few customers, and an old rabbi came into the store. They started talking, and at some point David mentioned his financial situation, how hard things were, how he didn't know what else to do. The rabbi looked at him and asked a simple question. David, when was the last time you truly blessed the Eternal for what you already have? David was confused. He said, Rabbi, I say, blessings every day, before eating, before drinking. I do what I'm supposed to do. And the rabbi said something that changed everything. Saying words is not the same as recognizing. When you bless, are you present? Do you feel what you're saying? Do you truly understand that He is the source of everything you have right now? David was silent, because deep down he knew the answer. No, he wasn't present. He didn't feel anything. It was just automatic, just religious routine. The rabbi continued, Your problem is not lack of money. Your problem is lack of recognition. You live in a consciousness of lack because you don't see what you already have. And when you don't see, you can't receive more. And he gave David a challenge. A simple but difficult challenge. For the next 40 days, David should do this. Every time he ate something, drank something, received any good thing, he should stop. Stop for at least 10 seconds and intentionally recognize that this came from God. That God, at that moment, was sustaining him, and bless him, not the thing, him. David accepted the challenge. The first days were strange, uncomfortable. He wasn't used to stopping. He wasn't used to being present. His mind resisted. It wanted to go back to autopilot. But he insisted. Every morning when he woke up, every time he drank water, every time he ate, every time he received his salary, every time something good happened, no matter how small, he stopped, breathed, became present, and, bless it, after 2 weeks something began to change. Not in his circumstances, but in him. He stopped waking up with that knot in his stomach. He stopped feeling that constant anxiety. He began to see things he hadn't seen before. Small blessings, small provisions, things that were always there but he never noticed. After 30 days, things started happening. A friend offered him a side job, nothing big, just helping with security at private events on weekends. Extra money that would help. Then someone at the synagogue mentioned they were looking for someone reliable to manage security at night for a small business. More extra money. After 40 days, David's monthly income had increased by 40%. Not because he won the lottery, not because someone gave him a gift, but because opportunities started appearing, things that were always there, but he couldn't see before. And here's what's important to understand. David didn't become rich overnight. He didn't suddenly have everything he wanted. But something fundamental had shifted. His consciousness had changed, his frequency had changed, the way he saw reality had changed, and because of that, he began to see opportunities that were invisible before. He began to act differently, make different decisions, connect with different people. A year later, one of those connections led to a full-time job offer, better salary, benefits, security, things he never thought would be possible for someone like him. 5 years. Later, David started his own small security company. Today he employs 12 people. He provides for his family. He lives with dignity, with peace. But here's what he tells everyone who asks him what changed. It wasn't about the money. It was about waking up. I was asleep my entire life. I was blind. And this practice opened my eyes. It showed me that provision was always there. I just couldn't see it. This is what I want you to understand. The practice doesn't create something that doesn't exist. It opens your eyes to what already exists. It changes your frequency so you can tune into the reality that has always been there. But you need to do it correctly. You need to understand what you're doing. Because if you do it mechanically, like David did at the beginning, nothing changes. If you're going through a difficult time right now, if you need prayer, leave your name in the comments. I pray for each person who shares their need. And if this teaching is opening your eyes to something you never saw before, subscribe to the channel now. Don't miss the next videos that will deepen this transformation. Now let me teach you the principle behind this practice. Our sages teach that God doesn't just create once and walk away. He doesn't create the world and then leave it to run on its own. God creates continuously, at every single moment, right now. This second, the next second, everything that exists, exists because He is sustaining it right now. The water you drink, the air you breathe, the food you eat, the money in your account, your health, your life. None of this exists independently. None of this is automatic. None of this is separate from Him. This is the foundation of everything I'm teaching you. When you understand this, really understand it, everything changes. Because if God is creating right now, if He is sustaining everything right now, then lack is impossible. Lack doesn't exist in His reality. Lack only exists in your perception. You think you don't have enough because you're looking at things as separate from Him. You're looking at your bank account as if it's independent, as if it exists on its own, as if God created it once and now it's up to you to fill it. But this is the illusion. This is the mistake. This is what keeps you trapped in lack. Your bank account doesn't exist separately from God. Your provision doesn't exist separately from God. Nothing exists separately from God. He is sustaining it right now, creating it right now, providing it right now. And when you recognize this, when you truly see this, you connect to the source of infinite provision. You stop seeing lack. You start seeing flow. You stop seeing limitation. You start seeing possibility. This is not about denying reality. If your account is empty, your account is empty. I'm not telling you to pretend otherwise, but I am telling you that the emptiness you see is not the complete picture. It's not the full reality. Because while your account may be empty right now, the source is not empty. The source is infinite. The source is constantly creating, and you are connected to that source right now. The question is, are you recognizing the connection? Are you seeing it? Are you operating from that awareness? Or are you operating from the illusion of separation, from the belief that you're alone, that you have to figure it all out by yourself, that if you don't make it happen, it won't happen? This is the consciousness of lack, and this consciousness blocks the flow. Now let me show you exactly how to practice this recognition. Our sages gave us a specific formula, a method, steps that work. This is not complicated, but it requires intention. It requires presence. It requires discipline. Here's what you do. Step 1. Identify the moment. You're about to drink water. You just received your salary. You woke up this morning. Someone helped you. Something good happened. Anything. Any moment where provision appeared. Step 2. Stop. Don't just consume. Don't just move on to the next thing. Stop. Physically stop. Take a breath just for 10 seconds, 15 seconds. This stopping is crucial because your mind lives on autopilot. It wants to rush. It wants to skip. It wants to stay unconscious. You must interrupt that pattern. You must create space for recognition to happen. Step 3. Become present. Look at what's in front of you. Really look. Feel your body. Feel the air. Feel the moment. Bring yourself fully here. Not thinking about yesterday. Not worrying about tomorrow. Here. Now. Step 4. Recognize the source. This is the key. This is where transformation happens. Say these words and mean them. Blessed are you, eternal our God, source of all existence, who creates this moment and sustains my life right now. Don't rush it. Don't mumble it. Say it with intention, with awareness, with recognition that what you're saying is true. Step 5. Receive. After you speak, pause again, just for a few seconds, and feel the response inside you. Feel the shift, feel the connection, feel the presence. You don't have to understand it intellectually. You just have to feel it. Something happens when you do this with intention. Something real, something that changes you. This is the complete practice. 5 simple steps. And here's what you need to commit to. Do this at least 10 times every single day. Not just once. Not when you remember. 10 times. Minimum. Why 10? Because repetition creates pattern. Pattern creates habit. Habit creates transformation. 1 blessing changes 1 moment. 10 blessings a day change your entire consciousness. Now I want to give you specific moments where you should practice this. Write these down. Commit to them. Make them non-negotiable. Moment 1. When you wake up, before you check your phone, before you think about your problems, before anything, open your eyes and recognize, I'm alive. I woke up. This is not automatic. He gave me this day. Moment. 2. When you drink water, every single time, not sometimes, every time, stop, recognize, bless. Moment 3. Before you eat, not after you've already started eating, before, while the food is in front of you, while you can still be present with the miracle that it exists. Moment 4. When you start your work, before you begin, recognize, I have work to do, I have ability, I have strength. This comes from Him. Moment 5. When you see someone you love, your spouse, your child, your friend, stop, look at them. Recognize, this person in my life, this relationship, this love, it comes from Him. Moment 6. When you face a difficulty, this is the hardest one. When something bad happens, when you receive bad news, when things get hard, right there, in that moment, recognize, even this, even now, He is with me. He is creating this moment. There is purpose I cannot see yet. Moment 7. When you receive money, salary, payment, gift, any money that comes to you, stop. Don't just spend it. Don't just put it away. Recognize first, this provision, this ability to receive, it comes from Him. Moment 8. When you solve a problem, you figured something out, you found a solution, you overcame an obstacle, stop and recognize, this wisdom, this clarity, this strength, it came from Him. Moment 9. When something unexpectedly good happens, a surprise, a coincidence, a blessing you didn't plan for, recognize it immediately. Don't let it pass unnoticed. Moment 10. Before you sleep, the last thing before you close your eyes. Review the day. Recognize, I made it through this day. I'm here. I'm safe. He sustained me through everything. These 10 moments, every single day, with intention, with presence, with recognition. This is the practice that will transform your consciousness. Now I need to tell you about the 3 mistakes people make with this practice. Because if you make these mistakes, the practice won't work. You'll do it for a few days, and nothing will change, and you'll give up. Mistake number 1, doing it mechanically. You say the words, but you don't feel them. You go through the motions, but your heart isn't present. You're just checking a box. This doesn't work. Words without intention are just noise. You must be present. You must mean it. You must recognize what you're saying is true. Mistake number 2, expecting instant results. You do this for 3 days, and you expect your bank account to double. You expect everything to change immediately, and when it doesn't, you quit. But transformation doesn't work like that. You're changing consciousness. You're reprogramming years of patterns. This takes time, consistency, patience. David practiced for 40 days before his circumstances started changing. And even then, it was gradual, it was natural, it was real. This is not magic. This is spiritual law. And spiritual law works through process. Mistake number 3, stopping when things get hard. You start practicing. Things are going well. Then something bad happens, a setback, a disappointment, and you think, this isn't working, God isn't hearing me. So you stop, you give up, you go back to the old consciousness of lack. But here's what you need to understand. The practice is not about making everything easy. It's not about eliminating all problems. It's about changing how you see problems, how you move through difficulty, how you maintain connection even in crisis. When something hard happens and you still recognize God's presence, you still bless Him, you still see His hand in it even when you don't understand. That's when the real transformation happens. That's when you break free from the consciousness of lack permanently. I'm going to tell you one more story, and then I'm going to give you the exact challenge you need to accept today. Her name was Rachel, 54 years old. She lived in Brooklyn, divorced for 8 years, worked as a nurse at a hospital, night shifts, hard work, barely. It's enough to cover her small apartment and basic expenses, but the real struggle wasn't financial, it was spiritual. Rachel felt abandoned. She had prayed for years. She had asked God for help, for provision, for a way out, but nothing changed. And slowly, quietly, she stopped believing that God was listening. She still went to synagogue, still said the prayers, but it was empty, mechanical. She was going through the motions, because that's what you do, but inside, there was nothing. No faith, no hope, just resignation. One Sabbath after services, an old woman approached her, someone Rachel had never spoken to before, and this woman said something strange. "You're angry at him, aren't you?" Rachel was shocked. She tried to deny it, but the woman continued. "You think he abandoned you. You think he doesn't care. You think you're alone." Rachel felt tears coming, because it was true. Every word was true. The woman said, "I want to teach you something that saved my life when I was where you are now." And she taught Rachel this practice, the practice of intentional recognition, the practice of blessing God for everything, even when it hurt, even when it made no sense, even when circumstances screamed the opposite. Rachel resisted at first. She said, "How can I bless him when I have nothing, when he hasn't answered my prayers?" And the woman said something Rachel never forgot. "You have everything you need to stay alive today. You woke up this morning. You have breath. You have work. You have a place to sleep. These are not small things. These are miracles you stopped seeing." Rachel went home that night, and she made a decision, a hard decision, a decision that required swallowing her pride, her anger, her disappointment. She would practice this for 30 days, just 30 days, and if nothing changed, at least she would know she tried. The first week was brutal. Every time she stopped to bless God, her mind rebelled. It felt fake. It felt like lying. How can you thank someone you feel betrayed you? But she kept going. She forced herself. Morning, water, food, work, every moment. By the second week, something small shifted. Not in her circumstances. In her. The anger started to soften, not disappear. just soften, like a tight fist slowly opening. By the third week, she started noticing things. A patient who thanked her genuinely for her care. A co-worker who brought her coffee without being asked. Small things, things that were probably always happening, but she never saw them. By the fourth week, Rachel realized something profound. She wasn't alone. She had never been alone. The provision had always been there. The care had always been there. She just couldn't see it because her consciousness was locked in bitterness. 6 months later, Rachel met someone, a widower, also in his 50s. They started talking after services. They became friends. Then something more. A year later, they married. And for the first time in a decade, Rachel felt peace. Not because all her problems were solved, but because she had learned to see differently. She tells people now, "The practice didn't change my circumstances immediately. It changed me. And when I changed, everything else changed too." Do you see the pattern in these stories? The practice doesn't force God to do something he wasn't already doing. The practice changes you so you can see what he's already doing. It changes your frequency, your consciousness, your ability to recognize, receive and respond to the provision that has always been there. Now here's what I need from you. I need you to make a decision right now, not tomorrow, not next week, right now. I want you to accept a challenge, a simple but difficult challenge. For the next 72 hours, commit to this practice, just 3 days, 10 intentional blessings every day, using the 5 steps I taught you, in the 10 moments I gave you. That's it. 3 days, 30 total blessings. But here's the requirement. You must do it with full intention. Not mechanically, not rushing, not just saying words. You stop, you breathe, you become present, you recognize, you speak with meaning, you receive, every single time. If you do this, I promise you something will shift. You will notice something different. In your perspective, in your awareness, in the way you experience your day. I'm not promising money will appear. I'm not promising all your problems will disappear. I'm promising your consciousness will begin to change. And that's where all real transformation begins. After 72 hours, I want you to come back to this video, and in the comments, I want you to tell me what you noticed, what changed, what you saw that you didn't see before. This is important. This is not just for you. This is for everyone watching. When you share your experience, you encourage others. You validate the practice. You become part of the testimony that this works. I read every comment. I pray for everyone who shares, and I want to know that you really did this, that you didn't just watch the video and move on, that you took action. If you're serious about this, if you're ready to change your consciousness and transform how you experience provision, leave a comment right now saying, "I accept the challenge." Commit publicly, make it real. And if you need prayer for a specific situation you're facing, leave your name in the comments. I will pray for you. This is not just information. This is a community of people seeking real transformation through spiritual practice. Now, if you want to go deeper than 72 hours, if you want the complete transformation, commit to 40 days. 40 days is the biblical number for transformation. 40 days of flood, 40 years in the desert, 40 days of fasting. 40 days is what it takes to completely reprogram consciousness. If you do this practice for 40 days, you will not be the same person at the end. Your identity will change. Your frequency will change. Your life will reorganize around your new consciousness. But it requires discipline. It requires commitment. It requires you to make this non-negotiable every single day. 10 blessings minimum, with full intention, for 40 days. Can you do this? Here's what it will cost you. It will cost you your comfort, because presence is uncomfortable. Stopping is uncomfortable. Interrupting your autopilot is uncomfortable. It will cost you your victimhood, because when you start recognizing God's constant provision, you can't blame him anymore for what you don't have. You become responsible for what you do with what you've been given. It will cost you your old identity, the identity of someone who doesn't have enough, someone who struggles, someone who's always worried. That identity will die, and something new will be born. Are you willing to pay that cost? Because if you are, the reward is extraordinary. The reward is freedom. Freedom from the prison of lack consciousness. Freedom from constant anxiety. Freedom from the belief that you're alone in this. The reward is connection. Real connection to the source of everything. Not just intellectual belief. Actual experienced connection that you feel every day. The reward is peace. Not the peace of having everything you want, but the peace of knowing you're being sustained right now, that you will be sustained tomorrow, that the source never runs dry. This is what's available to you, right now, today, not someday when you're more spiritual, not when you're more worthy, not when you've figured everything out now, with exactly what you have, exactly where you are, exactly as you are. The practice is simple, the commitment is clear, the path is laid out. All that's left is your decision. Will you do this? Will you commit to 3 days? Will you commit to 40 days? Or will you watch this video, agree with everything I said, and then go back to living in the same consciousness of lack you've been trapped in for years? Knowledge without action is worthless. Information without practice changes nothing. You can know everything I taught you today and still die in lack. Or you can take one simple practice and let it transform your entire life. The choice is yours. But I want you to understand something clearly. This opportunity won't wait forever. This moment of clarity, this readiness to change, it fades. Tomorrow, your old patterns will try to pull you back. Your mind will give you excuses. Your fear will tell you it won't work. So decide now, commit now, start today. When you finish watching this video, do your first intentional blessing. Right then. Don't wait. Don't prepare. Just do it. Pick up a glass of water. Hold it. Look at it. Breathe. Become present. And bless the source who created this water, who sustains your life, who is with you right now. Feel what happens. Notice the shift. And let that be the beginning of your transformation. If this channel is helping you understand the spiritual laws that govern your life, if these teachings are opening your eyes to truth you've never seen before, subscribe now. Click the bell. Join this community of people who are choosing consciousness over autopilot, who are choosing recognition over lack, who are choosing transformation over comfort. We're building something here, a community of people who take spiritual practice seriously, who don't just consume content, but apply it, who don't just agree with ideas, but live them. I want you to be part of this. I want to walk this journey with you. I want to celebrate your victories and pray through your struggles. But you have to show up. You have to commit. You have to do the work. Will you? In the next video, I'm going to teach you the second layer of this practice, how to extend recognition beyond yourself, how to become a channel of blessing for others, how to use this consciousness to create provision not just for you, but for your family, your community, your world. But that teaching is only for those who have practiced what I taught today, only for those who have experienced the shift, only for those who are ready for the next level. So do the 72-hour challenge. Share your experience in the comments. And when the next video comes out, you'll be ready to receive it. Remember, within 72 hours, you will notice the difference. Within 7 days, your life is already changing. Within 40 days, you are a different person. This is the promise. And it's a promise that fulfills itself for everyone who truly practices. Not for those who just believe it. Not for those who just think about it. But for those who do it. Be one of those people. Start today. Shalom, my friend. Until next time.